Hey watchers, how are you doing today? I'm in Rome in Italy and it's steaming hot, which makes sense because PlanetWatch is a hot project anyway, so I can live with that. Okay, today the main item I'd like to discuss is a high-level overview of our roadmap till the end of next year. It's fairly short time lapse, but things move very, very fast, so it's quite a rich roadmap, I believe. So I'll first go through the roadmap and then I'll answer a few questions. There are fewer questions than usual, which is good because I can put some time onto the roadmap discussion. Now, let's see if I'm technically skilled enough to show you a slide while I talk. So, a bit of a challenge. Let's try. 1, 2, 3. So, hopefully you can see a slide now, which is a high-level sketch of the roadmap. So there are things that I will show in this roadmap and things that I won't show because we have more items and more projects than I'm discussing here. The reason why I'm not going to disclose all of them is that for some specific activities or items, I think we have a good chance to be the first in the world to do some cool things. And if you want to be the first, it's not always appropriate to disclose what you're doing well in advance, right? So, okay, starting from very high level, in the second half of the present year, our focus is on scaling, growing fast. So growing our global air quality network and more generally growing our community. So network as well as ecosystem, community expansion. Now, why is this important? It is important because, as I said several times, the value of this project is related to the data it will generate. And valuable data means big data. Big data means having a very global network of sensors, hyper-local if you talk about outdoor air quality, so very dense outdoors, and very pervasive for indoor air quality. I mean, the goal here is to, for example, for indoor, have air quality sensors in a good fraction of households worldwide, lots of hotels worldwide, train stations, public transport, post offices, very, very wide. So how do we go about this? What are our priorities and strategies to achieve this? Okay, we want to accelerate global adoption and coverage. One of the tools is B2B partnerships. Now, I know that some people get nervous when we talk about B2B partnerships, but that's very, I would say, wrong and unjustified, and I try to explain you why. Since we want a lot of data and we want to get there as fast as possible, in some cases, corporate partners can be instrumental to achieving this. We are talking to lots of companies. Some of them has tens or thousands of hundreds of thousands of customers, retail customers, so they can really help us get sensors everywhere. And this is very important. Now, I know that when I talk about growth of the network, having thousands, tens of thousands of sensors, some people think that this can be to some extent detrimental to their earnings. And again, let me tell you, this is just flat wrong. Without getting into any token price prediction, because this is not anything that I would do or relevant from my point of view, I'm just asking you to think about something. So as you know, in our token model, there are a couple of mechanisms that can reduce the actual number of tokens earned for each stream. These are essentially the halving events scheduled every 4 years, as well as what's called saturation point. So if there are many sensors, the pie must be slightly thinner. Is this something that can adversely affect the value that you get? No. And I would suggest to just look at what happened in a very different framework, which is Bitcoin. Now, what do we have in common with Bitcoin? One thing, first of all, global max supply of the cryptocurrency in their case and the token in our case. So as you know, there will never be more than 21 million Bitcoins minted. By construction, there is an absolute bound. in our world, there will never be more than 4.5 billion planets by design. This is extremely important because in both worlds, even in Bitcoin, as you know, there are halving events. So roughly every 4 years, people who earn Bitcoins by mining the blocks all of a sudden earn fewer Bitcoins. And that's planned. I'm not going to comment on Bitcoin, but have a look at what happened to Bitcoin since its inception and across all the halving events, and you tell me if miners lost out. Okay, I'm not going to get into more details, but you draw your own conclusion. And in our world, all the events that will reduce the actual amount of earnings in tokens will be events related to the growth of the project and to the long-term evolution of the project. And the real driver of value to the company and value to Planet Watchers is whether all over our life we become the most important environmental data provider in the world, which we have the ambition to become. That's the only thing that matters. And in order to achieve that, we need to grow as much as possible and as fast as possible, and leverage any kind of partnership as long as they do not violate our rules, obviously. We call the shots, as I said several times. So you should be excited with the idea that the network grows fast and that the number of sensors grows fast, not scared. That is my personal view, and I think if you really look through the white paper and understand what's going on and understand that value is related to data, this should be self-evident. Anyway, the first side on which we are working a lot during this semester is to put in place a number of measures and partnerships to speed up global adoption. Let's move on. The yellow things are priorities, and in the process I'll be giving you a few announcements, a few new things which are quite important. So onboarding new sensors. As you know, there is a global sensor shortage, there is a global hardware shortage and electronic component challenges. So one of our priorities is to make sure that whoever wants to join PlanetWatch and get a sensor has a chance to do it, regardless of where they live, and with different budgets and different options. And that's a lot of work because we are not a sensor company, as you know, so we're putting significant resources on this. Now, another priority is to boost token circulation, because at the moment, unfortunately, there are a number of countries in the world which cannot directly access the token, which cannot buy the token at the very least. And this is not good, obviously. So our strategy, again, uses several types of actions. The disclosure I'm making today here is that we're going to leverage centralized exchanges. As you know, the token will be listed on 2 more centralized exchanges soon. One in particular caters for North American people. DEX, decentralized exchanges, are coming. I believe we are very near in the Algorand ecosystem to have a fully functional DEX. And that would change a lot of things. You know, DEXs are game changers in a way, because once a DEX is available, there are lots of platforms who come out where not only people can trade tokens without, in a very seamless way, but also there will be trading pools. There will be a number of DeFi options available, which can go very, very fast. So that's a world of opportunities. What am I alluding here with cross-chain to? We are considering, in fact, we will do it, to issue also a version of our planets for the Ethereum blockchain. Of course, this would be done in full compliance with the white paper, so in full compliance with the maximum supply limit, which I mentioned before. So it is still true that there will never be more than 4.5 billion planets. However, what will happen is that some of the planets that we as a company hold on the Algorand blockchain will be frozen, and an equal amount of planets will be issued as ERC20 tokens on the Ethereum blockchain. Why is this useful and why is this important? Well, it is useful because on the Ethereum blockchain, there is a very, very developed community, a very larger community, which is in fact larger than Algorand's at the moment. And there is there are lots of DeFi platforms. So to make a long story short, it will be easier for people to get planets worldwide, much easier. Of course, this doesn't mean in any way that we are making any strategic change. We are a project based on Algorand. We leverage the Algorand blockchain to manage the data streams, to build a global ledger. However, it is useful just to access a wider audience to issue tokens also on other blockchains. This can be done, as I said, in a very consistent way. Incidentally, another Algorand project named Yedli, which you might have heard about, has already done that. They built what they call a bridge between the Algorand and the Ethereum blockchain. So they have two versions of their token, but still without creating tokens out of thin air, in a way which is compliant with their own token model. So this can be useful to accelerate adoption of Planet's tokens and to widen the audience of people who learn about PlanetWatch and planets, and to boost communication around our project. Again, this is in the making. There are a number of technical options to be looked at and decided. But as you know, when we talk about something, we then do it, and we try to do it well. So this is something in the making. So as you know, and as has been announced, our token will be listed on 2 additional exchanges before the end of September, Emirates and Bitmart. On top of it, there will be DeFi opportunities, also to some extent linked to the fact that we release tokens also on Ethereum. But this doesn't change anything in the structure of the project, and doesn't change anything in our commitment to Algorand either. It's just a tool to access a wider community. Now, lots of people have asked about staking. Why don't you do some staking? Staking is cool. We want to earn more planets and blah, blah, blah. Now, I want to say 2 things here. On one hand, once a DeFi ecosystem is aggregated on the Algorand blockchain or on Ethereum blockchain, DeFi is a bit like the Wild West, because there are lots of companies who can offer products related to what you can do with your token, earn with your token, and all these things. So I'm sure there will be platforms offering things to do with the planets. That's one thing. On the other hand, here is what we want to do. Because we are PlanetWatch, we do things a bit differently. So we want to redefine DeFi, if you let me say that. So we will have our own staking program, but it will be, again, a bit different from what you could guess. We want to call it Stake for the Planet Initiative. Why? Because if you own a significant number of planets and you commit to keeping it, to holding it, not selling it, which is basically what staking means, you will earn some rewards in the form of a collectible NFTs, and we will fund planting trees. Okay? So you stake, which costs you nothing, so you don't spend, you don't pay anything, you just hold. You get some cool rewards, which are not additional planets. It's going to be something else, like collectibles, and we will plant trees. So planets will be used to deliver some actual benefits, some very concrete contribution to sustainable projects. So people like to ask, what are you doing to mitigate global change? Well, we are working to mitigate it in a broad sense by raising awareness of where the problems are and monitoring the evolution of problems. But with this initiative, we'll be doing one step more. We will contribute to reforestation with our own resources, and that's something that, to some extent, as you know, mitigates climate change. So again, details will follow. We're not yet ready, but we'll do it for sure, if you see what I mean. So makes sense to disclose it. Now, the emphasis next year is on data monetization, because as I said a zillion times, data must be relevant. Relevant means scientific value, but also market value. So we are looking into a number of business opportunities related to data monetization. As you know, if your own sensor is streaming data which PlanetWatch manages to monetize, then you will earn additional planets, as described in the white paper, as sketched in the white paper. It's not very precise, but we'll make it more focused along the way. So the kind of partnerships and projects where monetization will happen will be, first of all, city projects. The obvious example is a city where local government wants to get a better understanding of outdoor air quality, pollution, hotspots, and take more effective mitigation measures. We are talking to a number of cities, again, too early to give details, but there is an interest. So that's one avenue to data monetization, in particular for outdoor data. I believe we have a chance, I was hesitating to disclose this, but I did, to build very innovative and high value air quality data products. So I've already talked several times about indoor air quality data from reset compliant sensors, which means very reliable indoor air quality data, which can be compared across the world, let's say. I'll put another keyword on the table tonight, radon. So what's radon? Radon is a natural radioactive gas which comes essentially, let's say, from the ground. Now, this gas is a natural phenomenon, but it's quite dangerous for human health. It can be carcinogenic. So it needs to be, radon levels, especially in houses, need to be monitored. And there is new legislation coming up about radon monitoring in several countries, in particular in Europe, but globally. And so it's very important to monitor radon levels for human health. And also there are some studies which hint at a potential correlation between increases in radon levels and earthquakes. So there are some preliminary studies claiming that radon monitoring the fluctuations of radon can be a predictor for earthquakes. Now, this is all very advanced, very important, and I believe we as PlanetWatch can contribute to the better understanding of radon emissions and radon effects on human health, because thanks to what we are building, I think we have a good chance to be the first, to build the first global dense network of real-time radon monitors. Again, this is coming up. We are talking, of course, to radon sensor manufacturers, but I wanted to share this, although it's a bit early, because I want to give you a hint for the real potential behind building a global sensor network, taking real-time data from reliable sensors and using them to improve the world, let me say. So watch this space. Another very interesting avenue to data monetization is once our data achieves some critical mass, and that's once again because that's why it's important to grow fast in terms of the size of the network, the quality of the data, because there are a number of B2B data marketplaces in the world. We have been invited actually as a company to join one of these marketplaces where some companies, for example, utility companies, put some requests for big data. They say, we are interested in high resolution humidity data across France. And if you can provide this data, you make a deal, you make money. So we are talking to a number of players, including these important B2B data marketplaces. So we are getting ready for data monetization, which will happen when our body of data achieves some critical size and critical quality, obviously. Okay, now this is high level. I'm not giving too many details, but each of these lines is quite important to me, and each of these lines builds a picture, which is a very ambitious picture for this company. The thing which will happen in the second part of 2022, I believe, is that we'll be able to launch additional verticals. I mean, lots of people are asking, yes, air is important, but there are also other environmental measures which are very important, and that's absolutely true, including, for example, monitoring the quality of waters, or just monitoring the levels of waters to prevent floods. In a city, noise monitoring is an important activity. So we are working to get ready to launch additional verticals, ready both in terms of available sensors, in terms of our own know-how, plus market research to understand what's deemed to be most relevant. So we are working on it, but we'll not rush into it tomorrow. First, we have to demonstrate the relevance of our data on air quality. Once this happens, we can enlarge the business. Plus, confidential means that we are also working on other items, but as I said before, I don't believe it would be any useful to talk about them today. I will talk about them when we are ready to show the actual product, the actual service, very innovative products and services. So no need to talk in advance and let other people start working on it in too early, I would say. Okay, so that's my high-level roadmap, which I guess shows in which direction we are going, which I believe is kind of consistent with what we said from day one, hopefully. And that's it for now in terms of the roadmap. Now let me switch back to my own face. Sorry, guys. Which is dark, but never mind. Okay, and then I want to go through some questions that I received. And again, the idea is that I'll only be answering questions which are kind of new and which are not answered just by reading the white paper, okay? So, let's see. Let's see. I hope there are no technical problems. I have a doubt here, but hopefully you guys can see me and hear me. Now, question number one. Are you going to incentivize collecting air quality in different locations? For example, by giving extra planets for air quality data from different GPS points? Well, we'll see. As I say, when we do something, it's always because there is a scientific and a business goal behind. So we will look into this when we think it makes sense. GPS location can also be easily spoofed. So we don't want to build, again, we don't want to generate irrelevant data and reward something which is not relevant unless we are sure that it is indeed relevant, okay? Question about when the new PlanetWatch app will be available. Now, it will be publicly available, hopefully at the end of August. Currently, there are some testing activities which are being completed, so the app is already there, but there is just a final round of testing taking place. Question about pixel tiers. How often do tier 1 pixel change? Now, as I said, it makes no sense to review the tiers too often, also because our tier structure was based on third-party information, very reliable third-party information. So we're not going to change this every other day. I believe it would make sense to make a review of our pixel structure maybe next year, but we'll see. A question about availability of Type 3 and 4 sensors in the USA. All in all, in September, I believe both types of sensors will have available stock based on today's information. Generally speaking, as I said already, our goal is to be able to put on the market for you guys thousands of sensors per month. And I believe we should be able to achieve this goal before the end of the year. Somebody was asking about the saturation tracker in the Explorer. Now, as you know, in the PlanetWatch Explorer, you already can see the real-time number of active sensors. Saturation is a parameter defined in a white paper, but once again, please don't get obsessed with saturation. There is no drama related to achieving saturation. There will be no special event taking place. When saturation occurs, there will be mechanism to keep rewards constant for some lapse of time based on what's called a recycling bin. Eventually, rewards will be decreased, but in parallel, there will be a number of events taking place, which I believe will, all in all, will make value for you guys stay where it is. But again, not getting into price or anything, but hear these words. I mean, saturation is not a big deal. It's just a technical nicety that we put it in the white paper for information. I mean, halving, it's a more relevant event if you want, happening every 4 years. But as I say, look at what happened after halving in other contexts, other crypto contexts, and you will see that nothing is harmful within a well-built token model if the token model is okay and if the if the project has traction. All the rest is technical detail. Couple of interesting questions. Is Silvio Micali your friend? So who's Silvio Micali? Silvio Micali is the creator of the Algorand technology and blockchain. He's an MIT professor of Italian origin. He's a great guy also as a human being, but I think it makes sense to say that he's not a personal friend of mine. So it's not because we are both Italians that we talk and eat pizza together that we're doing things together. Not at all. He's a very distinguished professor. I met him in person a couple of times, but we are not friends. He's a strong supporter of PlanetWatch, but just because he learned about PlanetWatch, I told him the project and he liked it. And he thought it was relevant for Algorand. That's it. So another related question, how did you get on board of Algorand? Which I guess means, how did you get in contact with Algorand? Again, we were reviewing technologies. We felt that Algorand was a great technology and a great ecosystem. We got in touch by official channels, so not a personal connection. Another question about licenses. The question is whether people who buy multi-year licenses get special treatment with respect to people buying one-year license. The answer is no. We're just making a waiting list based on the date of a purchase of licenses for some types of sensors, but with no additional sub-rules. Questions about the new Type 4 device, which I announced without disclosing it last time, I believe. Okay, it's a bit too early yet to tell you everything about this device, but there are a couple of questions I can answer. Whether it will be battery powered or powered through the mains by an AC/DC adapter. So it's the latter. It's powered through the mains, so it's a very stable powering way, so that's easy. In terms of communication protocols with the PlanetWatch network, okay, we'll communicate through your home Wi-Fi. So again, once this is set up, things should be very stable. So it should be, all in all, it should be a device which is very easy to operate, which I believe is important. Okay, so I've come to the end of the list of questions. I started from the roadmap, and I should just close by saying that I'm very, very excited and happy about the way the project is progressing. We have lots of traction, and indicators of traction that you can see are, for example, the number of licenses being sold. There are other indicators that you cannot see because we don't think it is appropriate to disclose them, but we are getting a very large amount of expressions of interest for medium-sized companies, which are keen to help us grow the network in very decent and honest ways. So this is what I call traction, and this is what I call is the great news about the project. So the last thing I want to do is to thank you once again for your support, because everything I'm talking about works and has a chance to work because you support us. because you are being diligent in deploying sensors, trying to maximize the streams that you are sending to the platform and supporting the project in a broader sense. So we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of things to improve. You know, we had this DDoS attack. We essentially sorted it out. However, the ticketing system is still faulty. If it doesn't, if we cannot solve the issue, we will change partner, because that's supplied by through a third-party company. So either they fix it perfectly or we change. But we will always be listening to you. So if the ticketing system doesn't work, you can write to us on info@planetwatch.io, and we will always do our best to accommodate any problem, to solve any problem. Okay, guys. So thanks again for your attention. Keep watching the planet. Keep it up, and everything is going in the right direction, as far as I can tell. Thank you.